Hello and welcome to Cocktails with a Twist of History, your digital destination for all things cocktails. We're going to go back and talk about some more strong women of the past. This time we're going to talk about a woman named Jeanne de Clisson. She was a noble woman who became a ruthless pirate to take revenge on the bishops and the king who had wrongfully executed her husband. But first, I want you to send a link of this show to somebody that you know so that they can also watch Cocktails with a Twist of History. Jeanne de Clisson lived from 1300 to about 1359, although there are those that say that she lived longer and she was terrorizing the area. She was born a noblewoman, but her family had direct businesses of winemaking and salt farming, and they had the shipping to ship those items all over the place. Her father died when she was young, and so she had inherited his lands. She got married a few times, mostly because of security, but her husbands had died and she inherited them. Eventually, she goes to a different area of France and she marries a guy by the name of Oliver de Clisson. Now, this was finally someone that she loved. She had a huge estate in France along the coast, and in her marriage contract, she was actually smart enough so that she should secure the inheritance for her children from her previous marriages. She amassed other assets, and combined with her husband, they became very powerful in the region. Jeanne and Oliver eventually had 5 children together. In 1342, the English were at war with France. The English were always at war with France, but this time they captured Oliver and his men. Because Oliver was the only one that they released, the French thought that he was a traitor. They put him on trial. They really didn't come to any conclusions on the trial, but the king had him executed anyway. There was proof of a French judgment from 1343 convicting as a traitor because she tried to free her husband. Jeanne became enraged, and she decided that she was going to sell all of her assets, including all of her lands, and she raised a force of about 400 loyal men, and she started attacking the French forces. She painted her ships black and the sails red, and the story was that she would kill everybody except for one person so that person could go back and tell the story. Okay, I've been talking way too long without a drink in my hand. The cocktail that I'm going to make is called the Bishop. I think this is fitting because it was the interference of the bishops that caused a lot of the problems. The cocktail was really from 1935, but it's a rum and wine cocktail, which would have probably been something that a woman like Jeanne de Clisson would have drank in those days. Her family had wine companies, and she was looting ships that were coming from France and from Africa. And in Africa, they were producing sugar already, and probably would have made something very similar to what we call rum, or the precursors to rum. This cocktail comes from a 1935 book, the Old Waldorf Astoria Bar Book, by a guy named A.S. Crockett. Okay, so let's get to making the Bishop. It's a shaking cocktail, so we are going to need our shaker, and it is a rum cocktail, so we're going to need our rum. This is going to take a full 3 ounces of rum. So we are going to get our measuring jigger, and we are going to measure out 3 ounces of our rum. And here we go. There we go. That is a full 2 ounces. And it's very interesting. You guys know that I like the booze-intensive cocktails. This one starts with 3 ounces of rum. That's a good start. Now we said it's a rum and wine cocktail. We're going to need 1 ounce of red wine. And here we go. Now, this really calls for 1 teaspoon of simple syrup and a half a tablespoon of freshly squeezed lime juice. I happen to just put the simple syrup and the lime together, and there we go. So now we have everything in here, and we are going to add our ice. And like we always say, got to use a lot of ice. Here we go. Adding our ice. We are going to need some of this ice also because this drink is going to be served on ice, or on the rocks as they would call it. Hold on. And we have our ice for this, and we're going to put some in the glass so that we can have for on the rocks. Just take one extra one and stick it back, here we go, into the shaker. So now we got our ice in the shaker. We're going to cover it, make sure the little cover is on. Always remember to hold it, and we're going to shake. Now this really does not need a lot of shaking. The only juice in there is that little bit of lemon juice. But here we go. Doesn't take long for it to get cold. And we are going to put it into the glass. There we go. Got a little bit extra. Like I always say, don't leave it in the ice. It'll just get killed. So you want to make sure to pour out as much as you can. And here we go. This is the Bishop. Cheers. Very interesting. It's really rum forward. Mostly that's what's coming through. A little bit of the wine you can taste. You have a little bit of that sourness from the lemon. But mostly it's a very rum forward drink. Okay, maybe not the best cocktail I've ever had, but it's good. Anyway, it was the bishops at the time that didn't like the power that Jeanne de Clisson had, and it was King Philip VI of France who was the one that ordered the execution by beheading. Even though the trial really said that it was inconclusive, that he was a traitor, they decided to kill him, take off his head, and display it. So Jeanne had tried to save him, but the king said that she was a traitor for trying to save him, and they tried to capture her, and they were unsuccessful. So that's when she organized the fleet of black ships and became a pirate. She would attack particularly French ships. She was known as the Lioness of Brittany because Brittany was the name of the area where her family was from. And that was where they amassed a lot of her wealth. So they tried to take that from her. She sold it off and became the pirate. As usual, if you know other parts of the stories or anything else, we want to know about it. You can put it in the comments. You can send it to us by email, or you can tell it to the bottle. We want to know. Also, don't forget, we want you to follow, we want you to like, we want you to subscribe, and we want you to send a link to other people so that they can also enjoy cocktails with a twist of history. Thank you.